today. Moving on to the other big story we're tracking, the row over remarks on Prophet refuses to die, with protests continuing today in Hyderabad by Muslim groups against BJP MLA Raja. Police and Rapid Action Force conducted flag marches at affected areas, detaining some protesters as well. Telangana Chief Minister KCR has chaired a high-level meeting with top officials from the state, but despite fresh calls for violence, including beheading, since last evening, there has been no real action or crackdown on those individuals, either by the parties such leaders come from or by the state police. Meanwhile, Raja Singh's lawyer has also claimed that he has received 2 threat calls from unknown numbers. While AIMIM Chief Asaduddin Owaisi demanded that Raja Singh be sent back to police custody and his voice sample be taken and sent to forensic lab, there are no clear answers on his own party workers raising Sartan Se Juda slogans openly. Congress leaders were not to be left far behind, with Feroz Khan asking Muslims to beat Raja Singh wherever they see him. Now, these invite actually stricter sections of the law because they are giving an open call to violence. The dangerous flare-up continues. Despite law taking action, Raja Singh being arrested, then coming out because there was an issue with his remand order. Why are such protests continuing, and that too with beheading calls? After all, in Nupur Sharma's case, the same people like Owaisi and Congress were alleging that because Nupur hasn't even been arrested, therefore the anger is spilling out, which resulted in rioting in many cities. All of them, of course, nicely backed off when people started killing even those who showed support to Nupur Sharma. Here's a quick reminder of the dangerous escalation. Multiple protests, as I said, against BJP MLA Raja since he came out. One concluded just about an hour back. Patrolling by Rapid Action Force had to be carried out. Some protesters were even detained. The AIMIM wrote to Telangana Speaker today demanding Raja Singh's expulsion. Death for Raja Singh slogans were raised even by minors during protests in Hyderabad. And then Congress leader openly said that Muslims should beat Raja Singh wherever they see him. He's been defending his statement since. So the big question today that we're asking is, why is there no action on beheading calls that are being given quite openly in the state of Telangana?
पॉलिटिकल पोलराइजेशन का जुनून चढ़ा हुआ है। जो भी तू स्टेटमेंट दिया, वो स्टेटमेंट को तू माफी चाह, और अगर से तू नहीं चाहेगा माफी, हर एक मुसलमान को बोल रहा हूं मैं, राजा सिंह जिधर भी देखा गाड़ी रोक के मारो उसको।
टीआरएस सरकार से पुलिस एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन इस बात का मुतालबा करते कि उनकी फौरन उन पर एक्शन लेना चाहिए, उनको जेल भेजना चाहिए। जेल में ही वो सही जगह है।
So all of you please communicate. There has never been a stone pelting in South Zone in these incidents, in these rallies. If the stone pelting happens, till now it has not happened. If it happens, we'll take action. Law will take its due course of action.
Let's go across to our guest now joining us. Kalimul Hafiz is from the AIMIM. Khaliqur Rahman is from the TRS. Monica Verma is political analyst joining us, and Kapil Madan is also political analyst. Kapil, let me come to you. You know, the problem in this case is that the goalposts keep shifting. As I mentioned a short while ago, you may have heard if you were joined with us. In Nupur Sharma's case, some argued, including political parties, that because she is not being arrested, therefore the anger of the Muslim community is spilling out. In this case, Raja Singh was arrested. You just heard this Congress leader saying that he has to apologize. Nupur Sharma had apologized. Then why were people still going against her for her life? So, these goalposts keep shifting. Ultimately, the law has to take its own course, but nobody can use anything as an excuse to take law into their own hands. And political parties that target, for example, the BJP for their spokesperson statements or for their MLA statements, they don't have anything to write home about. Look at the statements that are coming in from the AIMIM and the Congress today.
So let me start by saying very unequivocally that we are a country governed by rule of law, and in any given situation, if some offense has been committed, the person needs to be booked, and the process of law should take its own course. Whatever is the punishment, whatever is the process, that should follow. Now, at the same time, I would also say that all these kind of lunatic fringe who are trying to, who are
I think we've lost that link. Monica Verma, do you want to continue on that before I go to our political representatives? You know, nothing suffices. Nothing will ever suffice. If the ideology is that we will behead you if you say something that we don't like against our prophet, nothing will suffice. One day people say apologize. People who apologize still get death threats. Some people are arrested, yet they are killed. There are instances from earlier this year in Gujarat. So this goalpost just keeps shifting.
I think the previous panelist was talking about these being fringe elements, but unfortunately, these calls of Sartanse Zuda are no more raised only by the fringe elements. The justification that is being given by the intellectual class of this country is very, very worrying. And I would like to, make a point here by taking you back to what happened during the Ram Navami processions and the Hanuman Jayanti processions.
Yeah.
There was a very convenient provocation theory that was invented by our own organic intellectuals. And they had said that, the reason why stones were being pelted was because there were being swords that were being wielded, or probably, there were evidence of these processions doing something with the mosque, or maybe, passing from the lanes which had
No, that came later. Monica, that came later. Initially, the fact that they were passing through Muslim areas was considered a provocation itself.
Absolutely, Shivani. And, this kind of threshold given to a certain community in a country is very, very worrying, not just for us, but that community itself. Because, this kind of violence, when normalized, doesn't only target other communities, it also leads to a lot of violence within that particular community. So, just look at what's happening in Pakistan today. We all of us know what happened to Asia Bibi. Just yesterday, there was a Hindu person in some area in Pakistan's Hyderabad. Something took place, this person was being targeted, was being hounded
over blasphemy charges.
Over an alleged blasphemy case. So
yes.
It hasn't been proven so far. But something that happened in Pakistan's Hyderabad has also happened in India's Hyderabad. And I think, taking pride in the fact that we are going on a very modern path, we've become a very, a strong nation, we've become a very good country, we are so progressive. But, these parallels between India's Hyderabad and Pakistan's Hyderabad are very worrying to any person who calls himself liberal.
No, and
for
also
real.
the problem is that even in Pakistan, they have a blasphemy law which has a death penalty. India, first of all, doesn't have any such law.
Absolutely.
Against blasphemy. It only has laws which restrict your speech if you call for violence, if you obviously, bring disrepute to any community or spread enmity against any community, and if you hurt religious sentiments. Now, there's a larger debate of whether the religious sentiments part should remain or not remain, because it has become an easy tool for everybody. But still, the law exists. You can file complaints and you can act. In Pakistan, people don't even wait for the law to take its own course. We can't become that country, right? Khalikur Rahman?
Slowly we are becoming that country. If Sartanse Zuda, slogans are becoming this common every other day on Twitter, you find a video from some part of the country. And in fact, we are not only talking about the slogans. So many people have lost their life. I've been keeping a count of all these people through a Twitter thread on my own profile. So many people have actually lost their life for real. Kanhaiya Kumar, why are we Lalji, how are we forgetting his name? So many people have actually lost their life for real because of this violence.
Yeah, I mean, Kamlesh Tiwari is a very classic example. The law was taking its own course in his case. He was still beheaded or his throat slit. And the fashion in which it is done is very clear. Let's not forget what has happened to Salman Rushdie. So, it doesn't really matter whether sentiments have just been inflamed or not. This is some sort of an institution working. And the justification given is that this is the right thing to do if your prophet has been disrespected or abused. Khalikur Rahman, why is the TRS looking so selective today when it is acting on one side but is unable to control and send out a very direct message to those who are raising beheading calls?
No, not at all. It is. We have never been selective in our action, and and let me tell you, my
Sir, can I tell you? Can I tell you the irony?
No, let me complete. I mean,
Okay, go ahead.
I'll definitely come to that.
Okay,
so my
go ahead.
co-panelists were saying that because there are some people who are trying to justify these kind of slogans. First of all, I want to tell her that because no one justifies, the Tanse Juda slogans, and first of all, there is no comparison between Hyderabad of India and Hyderabad of Pakistan.
Okay.
Because Pakistan is a totally banana republic, and we don't want India to become a banana republic because of this hatred which is being seen on the streets today because of, number one, Nupur Sharma derogatory remarks against one particular religion. Number two, now T. Raja. And after that, BJP in fact had issued the guidelines to the cadre, to the leaders. But unfortunately, I think those guidelines seem to have been totally ignored by these people.
But sir, I'm sorry, you cannot just name Nupur Sharma and T. Raja. There are countless people. Sir, 1 second. No, Khalikar ji, 1 second ruk jaiye. There are countless people who abuse others' religion on a daily basis. No, 1 second. I will not allow you to make this a singular issue. This is not an issue of one community alone.
Exactly. That is what I'm coming
Hindu
to
gods and goddesses are abused day in and day out by Muslims in India too, not just in Pakistan, I'm sorry to say. But there are not beheading calls given. It's not as if there is only one community that is disrespecting another community's religion.
I want to tell you, no one approves the beheading calls.
Okay.
Have you seen any,
I'm not asking you whether you do or not. I'm asking you as a representative of the TRS. Can I tell you the irony? Feroz Khan, who is making this open call for violence against Raja, is coming on TV debates and sitting on TV debates. That's the irony. आपको पता नहीं है कहाँ पे है फिरोज खान?
Why are you calling such elements to your debate? First of all, I want to ask you.
He's not on my debate, but I am telling you that's the irony today. He's a free person as it stands. He can go to any debate. My question to you is, why has the government not arrested him? Why has the government not arrested him?
The government is definitely taken the cognizance of that, and police is there, police is doing their job. There is a system, police will follow, the law will take its own course, police will definitely do whatever has to be done. There, no one will be spared.
And what about the AIMIM councillor who made a beheading call yesterday?
Definitely. Whether it is AIMIM councillor or whether whoever it is, whichever community he belongs to, whichever party he belongs to, no one would be spared.
You're saying that, but where is the action? People want to see the action. Where is the alacrity in this?
See, the need of the
yesterday on my show, sir, 1 second. Yesterday on my show, same time, this last evening, I discussed this issue. TRS representative said action will be taken soon, soonest.
That's what I'm.
24 hours have passed. More people have come and made these calls.
The topmost priority is to maintain the law and order.
And how will you do that?
We don't want Telangana to become another Rajasthan or some other state, because what is important here is the maintenance of the law and order situation, and we are totally committed to the security and the safety of the people of Telangana.
Okay.
So that is the first and the foremost priority. And these people who have chanted these slogans, at the same time, they are also not going to be spared. There is no place for such people. There is no...
the irony in India is, and the reality in India is, that this exclusivism, that one community is allowed to keep pushing over the law and order, keep pushing the boundaries, is the reality. It's a reality.
Don't misguide the nation. No, don't misguide the nation, I'm telling you. Because today, when we
you know why people are so upset today? Do you know why this issue has become so big today? Because Hindus in this country, day in, day out, take abuse of their religion, of their gods and goddesses, to the extent that people defend Christianary missionaries in this country who are converting people openly, and then one statement and you have riots on the street. ये exclusivism सिर्फ एक के लिए नहीं चलेगा.
And media is there to take the trial of that.
Okay, Halimul Hafiz, what action are you taking on your own party members, sir? Mr. Hafiz, why don't you set an example too? At least do the minimum that BJP has done, suspend people.
देखिए आयरनी ये है कि जो टी राजा ने जो बकवास की है उसकी ग्रेविटी, उसकी जो सिवियरिटी को ना समझ करके आप उसके एहतजाज में जो लोग सड़कों पे निकले हैं गम और गुस्सा के साथ, तब जो नारा लगा रहे हैं उस नारे पे आप बहस कर रही हैं।
नहीं
पहली बात तो मैं बता दूं कि हमारे काउंसलर अरेस्ट हो चुके हैं। हाँ, अब दूसरी सुनिए, आप अरेस्ट हो चुके हैं, आपके पास इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं है। दूसरी बात, आपने कहा कि नूपुर शर्मा ने माफी मांगी। क्या आपको याद नहीं है सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने, सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जो जस्टिस ने क्या कहा था? यही सवाल जब उनके वकील ने कहा था तो उन्होंने कहा था कि उसको माफी मांगनी चाहिए टीवी पे आके। उसने नहीं मांगी वो माफी। आप नेशनल टीवी पे बैठ के आप गलत इंफॉर्मेशन दे रही।
नहीं, उसने माफी मांगी थी, ट्विटर पे डाला था।
नूपुर शर्मा से नहीं मांगी है, नहीं मांगी। अगर वो माफी मांग लेती है तो झगड़ा खत्म हो जाता।
अच्छा,
यही
तो आप कह रहे हैं आज
जो जस्टिस
कि अगर माफी मांग
नूपुर शर्मा ने नहीं मांगी माफी,
नहीं तो झगड़ा खत्म हो जाता, आप ये कह रहे हैं? फिर आप अरेस्ट नहीं मांगेंगे?
माफी, उसे तो रेड कारपेट बिछाया गया,
फिर आप अरेस्ट नहीं मांगेंगे उसका?
एक पत्रकार ने, जो आप देखिए, सुनिए, आपके बिरादरी के एक पत्रकार ने एक फिल्म का
एक सेकेंड, ऐसी भाषा मत यूज करिए, आपकी बिरादरी टाइप।
लेकिन क्यों आपकी फ्रेटर्निटी नहीं है? वो पत्रकार नहीं है, आप पत्रकार नहीं है, आप पत्रकार नहीं है।
नहीं तो आप पत्रकार है तो मेरे से मत जोड़िए ना। आई एम नॉट रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर ऑल जर्नलिस्ट। नो, नहीं,
आपका वो जो आपकी फ्रेटर्निटी का एक दूसरा जर्नलिस्ट, हाँ, जिसको उर्दू में बिरादरी कहते हैं फ्रेटर्निटी को, उसने एक वीडियो का, एक फिल्म मूवी का एक शॉट डाल दिया था तो 24 दिन जेल में रहना पड़ा। हाँ। और नूपुर शर्मा को रेड कारपेट बिछाया गया और उसका आज तक अरेस्ट नहीं।
नहीं तो आप मुझे ये बताइए कि आप अपनी पार्टी में जो लोग पैशंस इन्फ्लेम करते हैं, जो लोग राइटिंग में जिनका हिस्सा पाया गया है तेलंगाना में और स्टेट्स में हुआ है, आपने आज तक किया क्या है? आपके लोग तो कम नहीं है।
आपको हमने बताया आपको कि कारपोरेटर अरेस्ट हो गए, लेकिन सवाल जो सीवियरिटी है जिसकी वजह से मेरे मुल्क को बेइज्जती उठानी पड़ी थी नूपुर शर्मा के केस में।
आप नूपुर शर्मा में मत जाइए ना, आप इस केस के बारे में बात कीजिए ना।
को बुलाकर उन्हें डिमार्च किया गया था। अरे सेम केस है, सेम बात कही है और ज्यादा बिगाड़ के कही है टी राजा ने, जो नूपुर ने कही।
नहीं तो मुझे ये बताइए कि ये टी राजा, इसके खिलाफ केस है ना, टी राजा के खिलाफ केस है। स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि वो इसको अरेस्ट करे। चलो, दिल्ली में तो आपने बोल दिया नूपुर शर्मा को रेड कार्पेट है क्योंकि दिल्ली में एमएचए, दिल्ली पुलिस एमएचए के अंडर आती है। तेलंगाना में तो नहीं है बीजेपी। स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की अब रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है टी राजा के खिलाफ अच्छा सा केस बनाए। और एक सेकंड सुनिए, टी राजा के खिलाफ अच्छा सा केस बनाए और उनको जेल में डाले। उनको कोई सपोर्ट नहीं कर रहा भाई साहब। मैं आपसे ये कह रही हूं कि ये सर तन से जुदा जो लोग कर रहे हैं,
जो बैठे हुए हैं आपके
ये सर तन से जुदा जो लोग कर रहे हैं, ये भी नहीं है चलेगा, ये भी सही नहीं है। डोंट जस्टिफाई वन।
एक बात सुनिए, देखिए गुप्ता,
शिवानी
मैम, शिवानी गुप्ता, हाँ शिवानी जी, आप सुनिए, सर तन से जुदा कोई सपोर्ट नहीं कर रहा है। हमारे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष बैरिस्टर असदुद्दीन ओवैसी साहब ने इसे रिजेक्ट किया, अभी टीआरएस के खलीक साहब भी उसको रिजेक्ट कर रहे हैं। हम कोई सपोर्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं, हम कह रहे हैं कि कानून अपना काम करेगा। लेकिन
आपने एक्शन क्या लिया? पार्टी ने
अरेस्ट हो गए हो।
पार्टी ने
हम अरेस्ट के बीच में नहीं आए, हम अरेस्ट के खिलाफ नहीं है।
नहीं तो पार्टी का कोई हक नहीं बनता एक्शन लेने का।
हमने ऐसा नहीं किया ना। देखिए, एक्शन ही तो है ना ये।
नहीं, वो तो स्टेट के लिए ना।
करना चाह रहे हैं ना, जो टी राजा सिंह ने, देखिए, जो टी राजा ने जो जितना बड़ा गुनाह किया है उसको आप सारे मीडिया वाले बचा रहे हैं ना।
नहीं, हम नहीं बचा रहे।
अरे
जो गुनाह उन्होंने किया है ना सर, वो लोग बोल रहे हैं। एक बात समझ लीजिए, जो गुनाह उन्होंने किया है आपकी नजर में, जो आईपीसी सेक्शन है उसके अकॉर्डिंगली सजा मिलेगी। बस हम यही कह रहे हैं, बस हम डिफेंड नहीं कर रहे किसी
तो फिर उसको भी सर तंज जुदा वाले को भी आईपीसी में सेक्शन मिलेगी।
बिल्कुल,
तकलीफ क्या है आपको?
बिल्कुल, ये दो डिफरेंट आईपीसी सेक्शन है सर। हर्टिंग रिलीजियस सेंटिमेंट एंड कॉलिंग फॉर वायलेंस आर टू डिफरेंट सेक्शंस, दे आर नॉट द सेम। मैं आपसे फिर से लास्ट बार ये पूछ रही हूँ, आपने अपने पार्टी मेंबर के खिलाफ एक्शन क्या लिया?
नहीं, आपको हमने बताया ना कि जब वो अरेस्ट हुए तो हमने उसका अपोज नहीं किया है।
अच्छा,
हमने
बहुत मेहरबानी कर दी आपने।
इलेक्शन दूसरी बात,
आपने अरेस्ट अपोज नहीं किया।
बीजेपी मेहरबानी क्या है, कानून है, वहाँ कानून का राज है।
आपको मतलब ऐसे लोग पसंद है अपनी पार्टी में, आपको ऐसे लोग पसंद है अपनी पार्टी में, फिर किसी और पार्टी पे कभी इल्जाम मत लगाना।
हमें तो ऐसे नहीं, हमें तो पता है कि नवीन जिंदल, एक अभी राजस्थान का उनका ज्ञानदेव आहूजा, जिसने कहा हमने 5 मारे, भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने उनके खिलाफ क्या कार्रवाई की? कुछ भी नहीं की, उनको अरेस्ट तक नहीं किया।
सेम है ना बस।
तो ये सवाल ये है कि ये जो सेट पैटर्न है, ये जो हिंदुस्तान का जो भाईचारा है, जो हैदराबाद में जो अमन अमान है, इसको बर्बाद करना चाहती है बीजेपी, क्योंकि उसके पास सियासी जमीन है नहीं।
The onus of violence is on the person who's committing the violence. Sentiments do not justify violence, and anybody's speech will not justify violence. It is as simple as that. I have to leave it at that. I thank all of our guests for joining us. Slipping into a very short break. On the other side, we'll get you some of the day's biggest stories.